Yo, what's up? It's your brother. And hopefully your friend Big Hill. Rockwayce in the building. Black African power. Each one teach one. Yeah, I haven't made a video in a while, man. Shit, I've just been kind of recycling my old videos. I call them classics, man, because, you know, the topics that I try to speak on, it transcends time. You know, it's about principles, and principles transcend time. You know, I be wanting to speak on a lot of things that goes on in society, but I usually, you know, just post about it on my Facebook page. Usually when I make videos, it's because I'm trying to, you know, I've experienced something that I want to share, or I have some information that has helped me and I want to share it with others. That's usually when I make videos. You know what I'm saying? Like recently on my YouTube, one of my YouTube subscribers, like check that out, I got YouTube subscribers. Got like 32 of them bad boys. A whole 32. But anyway, somebody chimed in and they said like, yo man, you haven't made a video in a while. And they wanted to know about this book right here. Where did I get this book? And they want to know how to get it. Because I had shared some information out of it on previous videos, and they said, man, that helped them a lot. And I was like, oh wow. So, you know, I'm like, okay. And then I sat back and I thought about it, man. I was like, yeah, you done went like a whole season without teaching, as I guess you could call it. You know, I got a book open, I'm sharing out of it. I don't call it teaching, I just call it sharing information. So that's why I keep it at. And I went a whole season, man, but yesterday I was studying this book, and I've seen this part of it, man, and you know, and I was like, man, I'm gonna share this information, man, and speak on it. And it's about the willpower, because you know, all of us have willpower, and if you're like me, you really don't think about it a lot. You really don't think about using it as a tool to propel you forward towards your goals. You know, matter of fact, if I like ask the question, do you have a strong will or a weak will? You know what I'm saying? I've always been a strong-willed person. I've always been a person who had a strong will. You know what I'm saying? And once I have a desire to do something, you know, I'm real aggressive about doing it. But when I started recovering from drugs and alcohol like 17 years ago, I learned something about the will, because I thought that my will had gotten weak because of the addiction. But I learned that when it comes to addiction, the will is of no consequence, because there's biochemical things that go on with the substances that you're using in the chemicals in your body. That's biochemical, and there's nothing that the will can do. There's nothing that your will can do to really overcome the addiction. It's more like when it comes to addictions and things of that nature, the solution to that is more of a spiritual dynamic rather than trying to enforce your will. I mean, you can enforce your will to make you do things that's going to help strengthen your spirituality, and in that, the solution will be found. But far as just imposing your will on an addiction, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work. That's why so many people fail at trying to recover from addictions, because they're trying to use their will instead of a power greater than themselves, or trying to go through the process to reach their divine self and connect to the divine essence of who they are. You know what I'm saying? Like when I first started recovering, it was all about God, because I was Christian minded back in 2001. I was a Christian. So, of course, my concept of divinity was the external, patriarchal, Abrahamic concept of God that we've all been indoctrinated to believe in. But since that time, man, through my studies and my evolution of a person, I came to understand that I am the divinity. I have that spark of divinity like every other human being. But, you know, the powers that be don't want us to realize that, because if we realize that, we take the power from them. As long as they can keep us focused on their concept and their mind state of what divinity is, they can always control us. But as soon as you let that go, and then you embrace and start learning how to connect with the divine essence of who you are, and stop looking at God as something outside of yourself, then your life will change, like mine has. But anyway, I want to get in that. I'm going to talk about this will. And the will is defined as the faculty of consciousness. I wrote this down because I like to identify words. That's a word that I never really looked up and identified. So I looked it up and said will. It's like 2 or 3 meanings. You know, you have the primary meaning, which is the faculty of consciousness, and especially of deliberate action. So, you know, the consciousness. So that lets you know that the will has to do with how we think and what's going on in our head, our consciousness, state of mind, that enables one to deliberately act. And then the second definition is the power of choosing one's actions. You know what I'm saying? The power. So the will right there lets you know the will is associated with having a certain amount of power and how to wield that power. And then the third definition is the act or process of asserting one's choice. You know what I'm saying? So those 3 things, you know, if I was just defining myself, I say just will is the consciousness that enables me to act and stay committed to that action by the way I think and look at it. You know, I take them definitions and I have to rearrange them, and before I internalize it, I have to put it in my own words for myself. So anyway, I'm gonna share this information with you, man, and then I'm gonna read it, and then I'm gonna do like I do, just go back over, man, and certain parts of it and what it means to me, and hopefully you can get something out of it. And if you don't, just me going through it like this helps me to internalize it. That's really why I do it. Because I read this the other day and I was like, wow, I didn't see this the first time, or the first several times, because I've studied this book. As you can see, I got stuff outlined, you know, all them outlines. You can tell I studied the book because of the outlines, you know, the highlight markers. And I noticed that in the will, I only have one thing outlined, but as I go through this, I was like, wow, there's a couple other things that I need to remember. But anyway, it says, make strong your will. Your will is that part of you that fights for things, that does not give up or back down, that pushes you to overcome challenges and finish things that you start. Strengthen your will to do things that you know in your heart are right and just, and move them forward with determination. Knowing what is good and right is one thing, but your will is what provides you the fuel to carry it out. Your attitudes helps you to overcome challenges along the way, and your deeds lead to completion of the task. Without a will to do things, things don't get done. And without a strong will, it becomes difficult to make things happen under less than ideal circumstances, which for most people is the context of their daily lives. Without a strong will, giving up becomes easy. Giving up when hardship or adversity arises leads to the inability to deal with difficult issues or work through problems. To strengthen your will, set a goal to work toward and organize things in your life to make that goal a reality. Define your purpose. Let it reflect the greatest good and give your all to its fulfillment. Knowing that at times, sickness may challenge your body and poverty may challenge your spirit. But you are more than your body. You are more than the conditions into which you were born. You are more than the body that houses you. Be guided by your will and determination. So that was a lot of good stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, when I was studying this and I read this, my mind went to an aspect of my life. Because, you know, we all got things we struggle with. We all got things that we're trying to accomplish. We all got issues and concerns that seem to dog us. You know what I'm saying? We all have things that we're undisciplined. You know what I'm saying? And when I read this, it became apparent to me once I thought about it. I'm like, dude, you just really, these things that it's just not a lot. It's just a couple of things in my life personally that I could clearly see that if I exert my will a little bit more, I may be able to have better, I'm going to say, make more progress in that area. You know what I'm saying? And then when I thought about it, I'm like, that's the problem right there, man. You know what I'm saying? You say you have a strong will, but in this area, you're not using the power of your will to overcome. You know what I'm saying? That's why this information is important. It says, your will is that part of you that fights for things, that does not give up or back down, that pushes you to overcome challenges and finish things that you start. Overcome challenges. You know what I'm saying? If you don't use your will to overcome a challenge, then that which is challenged, you're going to always be in front of you challenging you. That's why that word overcome is so important. How you overcome something? You got to have a strong will. You got to look this thing in the face and say, nah, not me, you. You ain't going to get me, I'm going to get you. And I'm always one saying that I love challenges. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes you could get so caught up in a challenge that's persistent that if you really don't exert your will, you'll find yourself becoming weak to that challenge. You know what I'm saying? And you won't try to overcome the challenge. You'll just deal with the challenge and try to psychologically make it appear to you in your psyche that the challenge is not beating you. It's like, okay, I know it's a challenge, but you know, it ain't, you know, you'll come up with some type of justification where that challenge is minimal. Instead of looking at it as a challenge, you'll just look at it as something that you're living with. I've done it. You know what I'm saying? I've had things in my life that I've overcame, but before I overcame them, I had reduced the challenge to just something I've chose to live with. Why? Because I did not want to exert my will. I did not want to use the power and the strength of my mind and my will to push past that challenge. So, you know, it's important. It says, strengthen your will to do things that you know in your heart are right and just to move them forward with determination. So right there, they know that it says strengthen your will. You know, so to me, when I hear the word strengthen, I liken it to a muscle. You know what I'm saying? If you don't strengthen your muscle's going to become weak. You know what I'm saying? That's one reason why I go to Planet Fitness every weekend. Because I've been a big dude all my life. I'm a middle-aged man. And I don't want to grow weak. I want to be I'm just as strong. Matter of fact, hell, I'm in better health and condition now than I was 10 years ago. Why? Because I do a whole lot of stuff different. I've used my will to propel me to make decisions about my health and my body that I wasn't doing 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So to me, when it says strengthen your will, that lets you know that your will is something that you have to make a conscious decision to keep strong. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't make that conscious decision to keep your will strong, then your will become weak. It says, where was I at? Hold on. It says, okay, here we go. It says, knowing that what is good and right is one thing, but your will is what provides the fuel to carry it out. It says, knowing what is good and right is one thing, but your will is the fuel to carry it out. Your attitude helps you to overcome challenges along the way, and your deeds lead to the completion of your task. So right there, it kind of like, it talked about like three things. It says strengthen your will, right? And then once you strengthen your will, that's what's going to propel you to overcome the challenge. And then it says, your will is what provides the fuel to carry it out, Your attitude, you know, your attitude about a challenge. That's what I was just talking about. It's like, I have a challenge, but my attitude is not to overcome it because I don't want to exert my will. I'm not using my will, and I'm not even conscious of the amount of willpower it's going to take to overcome this challenge. So what I do is I just look at the challenge and say, okay, man, I'm just going to have to live with this. It's just a part of my existence. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that's the attitude you have toward it. But if you develop that attitude, it's like, nah, this got to go, man. It's like I can't even move forward in my life. I can't even propel myself or stay upwardly mobile because of this. We all got it in our lives, man. I ain't the only one. I'm human just like y'all are. And I know y'all got things in y'all life that y'all struggle with just like every other human being. You know what I'm saying? That's why, you know, I'm sharing this information, because when you think about it, the will becomes very important in overcome these challenges that we have to deal with on a daily basis. Our attitudes toward them. And then it says, your attitudes help you to overcome the challenge, and your deeds lead you to the completion of the task. And your deeds are the things that you do. What actions do you take? What actions do you take to actually overcome the challenge that's facing you? That's all up in your face. Like, yeah, right there every day. You know what I'm saying? What deeds do you take? What do you do? If you're not doing anything, you probably need to start doing something. It said, without a will to do things, things don't get done. That's kind of self-explanatory, right? And without a strong will, it becomes difficult to make things happen under less than ideal circumstances for most people, which is the context of their daily lives. So there it is. It talks about having a strong will again. See, that's what jumped out at me when I was reading this, when I was studying this the other day. I was like, wow, dude. Have you even thought about your will? Have you thought about how strong it is? Have you even compared the strength in the past to the strength that you exert and use now? Because you still have a will. Has it gotten stronger or has it gotten weaker? And I would have to say, man, that my will in certain areas, my resolve in certain areas have gotten weaker. But I ran across this information and it jumped out at me. So I said, oh, so that's what you need to do, man. You need to start strengthening your will. You know what I'm saying? When you make decisions, you know, you need to stick to it. You need to change your attitude about certain things. And then you need to make decisions and follow them decisions by actions and deeds to make sure that you're trying to overcome what it is that's the challenge to you. Instead of just sitting back and having this blasé attitude about it. Like, oh, it is what it is. Nah, man, it is what it is. And what it is something that's keeping you back. It's keeping a restraint on you. You know what I'm talking about? So, okay. So now, it says, and then it becomes difficult to make things happen under less than ideal circumstances for most people, which is the context of their daily lives. Shit, man, if you black in America, then you living under ideal less than circumstances. You living under circumstances which are less than ideal. Now, that's my opinion. I'm entitled to it. And a lot of people might disagree with that because you think all your circumstances are ideal. But you have to realize that all 50 to 55 million of us in America, we live in an environment that we didn't create for ourselves. We live in an environment and in a society that we did not create for ourselves. If you look back on history, you'll clearly see that this environment was created for us, not by us. We do not own the businesses in our communities. We do not have infrastructure. Everything that we need, that we have to get from somebody else. All of our money, this $1.2 trillion that we produce that we spend every year is going into the pockets of other people, not black folk. But I don't want to get to, I'm staying on the wheel. I'm talking about the wheel. I ain't talking about that. I'm just talking about if you one of those people who think that the context of your life is ideal and not less than ideal. Because I just read a statement that says, without a will to do things, things don't get done. And without a strong will, it becomes difficult to make things happen under less than ideal circumstances, which for most people is the context of their daily lives. It didn't say all, it said most. You know, if you got plenty of money, then I guess, you know, you living, your circumstances are ideal because you got enough money to make things the way you want to. But if you out here working, man, like most of us, working on these corporate plantations, then your circumstances are less than ideal. You're doing the best you can to stay ahead and keep your head above the water. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I don't stay on that right there. It says, giving up when hardship or adversity arises leads to the inability to deal with difficult issues or work through problems. Giving up when adversity or hardship arises. See, that's when you can really measure the strength of your will. When some adversity or hardship, man, comes along in your life and you run from it and you feel like it's too much that you don't want to deal with, then that right there lets you know you got a weak will. Me, I love a challenge. So when adversity or hardship comes, I got the spirit of a warrior. So when something comes for me, I'm like, nah, you ain't going to get me. I'm going to get you. You know what I'm saying? But I've come to understand and learn that a lot of my situations and circumstances and adversities and things are things that I create for myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm my worst enemy most of the time. I'm the one that causes the most problems in my life by the decisions and the choices I make. And my lack of desire to deal with things that I create, so it continues. You know what I'm saying? It becomes a damn fetter, you know what I mean? It holds me down, it restrains me. So, if you're a person who likes to run and run from hardship. Nah, man, you need to make sure, man, that you look hardship and adversity straight in the face, because that's going to say a whole lot about your character. It's going to say a whole lot about your resolve and your will and how you deal with life. Because believe me, in life, adversity and hardships is just a part of it. And if you fold up like a cheap suit and you sitting back, man, and you waiting on Jesus to fix it, you probably need to, man, go look in the mirror and say, there go your Jesus right there. That's the one that's going to do it for you right there. He looking right at you. Or she looking right at you. Leave my Jesus alone. Okay. To strengthen your will. Here we go. I said all that. Here's a solution right here. This is the good part. Y'all listening? You still listening? This is the good part right here. To strengthen your will, set a goal to work toward, and organize things in your life to make that goal a reality. Set a goal to work toward. Become a goal-oriented person. Most of us are. Most of us got things we trying to accomplish, man. But that second part, organize things in your life to make that goal a reality. See, I've noticed that I had that outlined because the first time I read it, something in my mind said, that's what you need to do. But that's the only thing in this part of the book, in this part, Make Your Will Strong, that I had outlined, that which lets me know when I went back over that I just read through it, and that's the one thing that stuck out to me. So I outlined it. And then I'm gonna tell you that works, because I had a situation, man, that I kept coming up short, man. I kept failing it, and I was like, damn, man, it seemed like, man, every time you know, I mean, it's like this challenge is always defeating you. You need to do something different, bro. And when I read that, I said, okay, organize things in my life. So I had to change up a few things. I had to change the way I do things. I had to make some lifestyle decisions, some lifestyle changes and some lifestyle choices. And I had to do things that was more conducive to me overcoming this challenge that I had. And when I rearranged things, man, I noticed that I started seeing progress. I was like, wow, this shit really works. You know what I'm saying? Like a guy I used to know back in the day used to help me. He used to always say, man, do that stuff. You know, I always say apply the wisdom. Don't just read the wisdom. Take the wisdom off the page and use it in your life. That's my main purpose for sharing this with you, to give you some tools. You know what I'm saying? To strengthen your will, set a goal to work toward, organize things in your life to make that goal a reality. Define your purpose. How many of us have done that? Let it reflect the greatest good and give your all to its fulfillment. Know at times that sickness may challenge your body and poverty may challenge your spirit. But you are more than your body, and you are more than the conditions in which you were born. You are more than the body that houses you. Be guided by your will. So, when I look at my life, and when you talk about defining a purpose, I'm like, what's your purpose, dude? Oh, my purpose is to help heal the human condition. You know, yeah, I talk a lot about European hegemony, better known as white supremacy. I'm trying to get away from that white supremacy because ain't nothing supreme about white folk as far as I'm concerned. You know, I had an argument, not an argument, but me and the brother had a discussion about that the other day, where he was trying to tell me that I don't want to acknowledge it. I'm like, no, I acknowledge the system, yeah. When them Europeans came out of the Caucasus Mountains and started coming into these indigenous populations, once they acquired power and got the education from us, they started setting up a system that ensured that they would stay in power. That's hegemony. You know what I'm saying? It's not supreme. Ain't nothing about them supreme, because they got all the stuff from us. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see him as supreme, and he wanted to argue me, you know, and say a lot of stuff. I'm like, look, dude, we can agree to disagree. If you want to acknowledge their supremacy, go right ahead. I don't acknowledge them supreme, so I'm not going to say it. But anyway, define your purpose. You know, my purpose has been the same for a long time, man. Help heal the human condition. Particularly black folk, because we sick people, man. You know what I'm saying? If you look at our existence here, we're sick people. We suffer from a lot of pathologies. That's why when I make these videos and I talk about stuff, that's where I try to go in. I try to give information that's going to help heal the human condition. And part of our human condition is that we are weak-willed people. So we need to learn how to strengthen our wills. And if we can resolve things in our own life and use the information that we get from various places to help us, then we can help our other people. That's why I say each one teach one. You know what I'm saying? I'm sharing the information that has helped me with you, and if you can use it and help you, then you share it with another. You know what I'm saying? So that's my purpose, to help heal the human condition. It ain't for me to get on my video and comment about all the latest current events. You know what I'm saying? It ain't about me to get on my video and castigate and cast aspersions at other people, you know, point fingers and talk about other people as if I'm superior to them. You know, I used to do that when I first came out of Christianity, man. I railed on Christians and Christianity for 2 years, but when you grow spiritually, you move away from the emotional part of what you don't dislike, and you start looking at it objectively. So now that white Jesus, I got a problem with that. You know, that's my reject right there. Get that? Because I see, when I look at a black man worshiping a white image, I'm like, God damn, bro. So that's your God? That white man, that's your God? But I have to understand, I was that way for 37 years. I worship the white man. So now that I don't do it anymore, I have a different take on it. So anyway, I'm going to get out of that. I'm talking about define your purpose. That's what we need to do, man. We need to define our purpose. My purpose is to help heal the human condition. And I try to let it reflect the greatest good. That's why I try to stay away. I sit back and watch, and I try not to be one of them talking heads, man, that's always want to cast aspersion and castigate other people. It said, no, at times sickness may challenge your body and poverty may challenge your spirit. Yeah, that's adversity and hardship. You know what I'm saying? At times, man, you're going to get sick. Like, this the first video I done made in 2, 3 months, 4 months. And it's not because I was sick, but that poverty challenge in my spirit, that's what it was, man, because I see, man, that a lot of people just don't care about getting better. A lot of people so caught up in the status quo, so caught up, man, in just the norms, and been so programmed and mind-washed and socialized into this society that when I see, like, motherfuckers ain't interested in getting well, man. People don't give a shit about that. People worried about getting the bag. People worried about, man, what's going on the television. People worried about this, that, and the other. People ain't worried about freeing the shackles from their mind. People ain't worried about, man, reading books. So that poverty challenged my spirit. But when somebody commented on one of my videos and suggested, man, that I make another one because it helped them, I'm like, well, damn, dude, that was your purpose in the first place. You know what I'm saying? To help heal the human condition, to share what you learned, to help other people. Not to get on this camera and challenge people that I think may be against me. Okay, be against me, you know what I mean? As long as you do it from a distance. Because if you're against me and you show up in my personal space, then you like a deer in the headlights. You're in danger and you don't even know it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't even get into that because, I pray to the ancestors and the divine to order my steps, and so far they have done that. So, it says be guided by your will and determination. What are you guided by? Do you have that passive God gonna fix it attitude? Do you got that passive Jesus gonna take care of it? Do you got that passive, are you guided by insanity? Are you guided by false doctrines? Are you guided by anything other than your own will and determination? That's a powerful statement right there. I outlined that yesterday. That's why I was in blue, because I grabbed my blue marker. Be guided by your will and determination. I can't think of nothing else to best be guided by, you know what I'm saying? And of course, divine guidance is always important. whatever your concept of divinity is. My concept of divinity is my ancestors and spiritual principles and natural laws. That's what I try to live in subscription to. Truth. I'm guided by truth. You know what I'm saying? And I try to use my will and determination to stay on that track right there. You know what I'm saying? To make sure that when I'm guided, that's what I'm being guided by. Truth. Divine guidance. Ancestral memory. And things of that nature. A lot of metaphysical things that you just can't see in the natural. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, before I start jumping all over the place with this, man, you know, I tried to do that for you. I tried to share this. That's all I wanted to share with you. I went through it once. I read it once. I read it, went through it again. I'm going to read this one more time, and then I'm going to call it a day. Let's check this out. It says, make strong your will. Your will is that part of you that fights for things. It does not give up or push back or give up or back down. That pushes you to overcome challenges and finishes things that you start. Strengthen your will to do the things that you know in your heart are right and just and move them forward with determination. Knowing that what is good and right is one thing, but your will is what provides the fuel to carry it out. Your attitude helps you to overcome challenges along the way, and your deeds lead to the completion of the task. Without a will to do things, things don't get done. Without a strong will, then it becomes difficult to make things happen under less than ideal circumstances, which for most people is the context of their daily lives. Without a strong will, giving up becomes easy. Giving up when hardship or adversity arises leads to the inability to deal with difficult issues or work through problems. To strengthen your will, set a goal and work toward and organize. Set a goal to work toward and organize things in your life to make that goal a reality. Define your purpose. Let it reflect the greatest good and give your all to its fulfillment. Know that at times sickness may challenge your body and poverty may challenge your spirit. But you are more than your body. You are more than the conditions into which you were born. You are more than the body that houses you. Be guided by your will and determination. It's your brother, Big Hill. Peace. I'm out.